Perfect. Coach, welcome. Congratulations on a great season, SEC division and win, and as well as your return to Orlando, where you're familiar, having been here a couple of years ago. If you'd like to give an opening statement, you can go right ahead, and then we'll get into some questions. For those on the line, if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll get right to you. We will unmute you so you can ask. And Coach, take it away.
We're certainly excited about. And I know our team certainly is looking forward to getting back on the winning ways. We've lost 2 games, obviously to the number 1 team in the country this past weekend. But again, playing Purdue, a team that won their side of the Big Ten. I have a lot of respect for Jeff and his teams play with an edge. Played him when I was at Notre Dame, and he's got a great creative offense, really good defensive structure, and it'll be a great matchup between 2 teams that want to go out on a winning note. We've had good years, but we want them to be years that finish on a positive note. So excited about being back in Orlando, seeing some old friends. Really appreciate this opportunity to play in this game, and certainly against a Big Ten team that's so well coached by Coach Brown.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Coach, you put this big emphasis on graduating champions and academics. This is that time of year where guys could be ineligible. Like I guess last year there were a few for a bowl game. How much do you feel like you guys have done a good job with that, so they have their grades in order and whatnot? And then if I could ask a second question, just in this new era when you sometimes don't know who's going to play in the bowl and who's not.
Yeah, we'll have that all sorted out over the next 24, 48 hours. Certainly, you don't worry about academics just one day. We've been on it since we've got here. Every single day has been, working to improve who we are academically and how we do things on a day-to-day basis. So this isn't just like, hey, the season's over. Let's worry about our guys in the classroom. I'm in every meeting every week when it comes to academics. Our staff is aware of that. So could there be somebody ineligible? There might be. We have some guys that have to continue to do some things at the end here, but we've made great strides there. And I feel really good about the progress we've made academically with our guys recognizing the value of a degree from LSU. And then there's guys that are evaluating whether, they should be playing in a bowl game or should they, be working out and preparing for, an all-star game, or, should they be preparing to, get better for a combine run? Look, those are all things that we'll help and counsel our guys with, and we'll give them both sides of the story. Is it better to practice and prepare and work on your skill development as you kind of get ready for, an East-West Shrine game or a Senior Bowl? Is that better than trying to run a 40? We'll give them all that information, and then ultimately it's their choice, and we'll support them in whatever choice they in fact make.
Hi, Coach Kelly. First off, I just want to see what you thought of Garrett Nussmeier's performance and how you graded it.
I thought Garrett did some really good things. Clearly, he's a guy that he's got a strong arm, sees the field well, fit the ball into some tight windows. He made some mistakes as well, which, clearly, those are areas that he'll have to improve on. But, I think going in, and doing the things that we kind of thought he was capable of, I hope he leaves there, in this experience with a lot of confidence that he can go in and lead our football team to, championships. And because that's how we felt about him, and I think I was on record saying that we've got 2 really good quarterbacks. And if Jaden couldn't play, we believed in Garrett. Please go to the audio tape that we could win with Garrett. And I think he did a really nice job. There's some things we got to clean up, but he's a good quarterback too.
Hey, Coach, curious just your thoughts in a little more detail on Jeff Brom, from kind of what he was at Western Kentucky to how he's now put together a roster and plays offensively at Purdue.
Yeah, listen, I think he's got a national reputation as a creative play caller, and he is. Let's face it, he's very creative. I think he does a really good job. They're going to throw the football, and they always have a big physical back, and which they do again this year. But they play with an edge. I mean, this is a team that he talked about. We're good old Purdue, and hey, we're going to rally. And listen, he coaches his guys and does a great job of getting them ready to play physical football. Indiana, Midwest, toughness. He recruits those kind of guys. So it's not just talk. I mean, I've gone against them, and they play physical, they play hard, and you better be ready to play for 4 quarters because they're going to come after you for 4 quarters. It's not just about pretty plays and creative play calling, and that happens too. But I think what makes his team different is they play really hard and they play physical.
Hey, Brian, it's Michael Cobble. I was
Mike.
just curious your memories of playing LSU in this bowl game. I don't have the best memories. Somebody can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought LSU got hosed on a goal line touchdown against the Irish. Just from the other side now, your thoughts on that game?
Oh, that definitely was not a touchdown. No, I don't think that was. And I can only see it from one perspective. So I was on the wrong sideline at that time. But what I do remember about the game in particular was, from an offensive standpoint, LSU struggling offensively, and LSU playing really good defense, and then making a play. Notre Dame making a play down the sideline. Miles Boykin went up. The ball was I think deflected, and he just stayed with it, made a play down the sideline, and I think that was really the difference. Both teams, kind of struggled on offense, and it was a kind of a defensive struggle, and made a play down the stretch and came up with the win. And it was cold. And that never happens in Orlando. It's not supposed to, right? At least that's what Steve Hogan tells me.
All right, Coach. So far, has there been any timetable or any news on Jaden's ankle, or what's the process going to be moving forward with Jaden?
Yeah, he's probably going to need about a week to 10 days. So we won't practice him this Saturday. So he'll be out this week. Probably take it into the middle of next week before we start to even think about getting him out and around. So give him plenty of time so he's 100% healthy. No sense of re-aggravating it, putting him in a situation where he gets back into a in and out of the lineup kind of situation. So I think Bo Lowry, our head athletic trainer, is looking for at least 10 days where he can really recover and get that thing back to 100%.
Hey, Coach, everyone has the answers after the fact, obviously, but what's your opinion on when you have offensively, when you have a 3rd and short, 4th and short, in the shotgun, does a running back, does he get some momentum running to the line and that helps? Or, should you sneak it with the quarterback? Obviously, you had the 4th and 1 yesterday. That was kind of a tough play for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to have all of those things. I think, we talked about, a quarterback sneak in that situation. We just didn't feel like our quarterback had done it enough as a backup. We had not repped it enough. We didn't feel as comfortable with it in that situation. We have with Jaden, we just didn't feel as comfortable as the play. We got beat off the ball flat out. Give Georgia credit. They were better at the line of scrimmage, and they beat us off the ball. But I do believe you have to have direct snap. I think you've got to get the ball out on the perimeter. I think you have to strike, not just inside, all the time. You've got to have some – look, if you're going to go for it on 4th down, you're not conservative anyway. So you don't have to be conservative in your play calling. You need to find a way to get a 1st down. And if they're pinching and they're physical and they can knock you back, you got to think about other ways to pick up 1st downs as well.
Shay, you're on.
Coach, I'm just curious. So often all coaches talk about the importance of bowl practices, both for the game, but also just moving into the offseason and next year. Just curious your thoughts there as you move into year 2.
Yeah, I think there's some validity to it, especially going from year one to year two. Like, we protected some guys this year. The Quincy Wiggins, Jaden Davis ran up. I mean, I think there's some young guys that need some work. That I think that this is going to be an effective first, 4 or 5 practices where we really can lean on them and get them a lot of work. And look, we're not blessed where we have, so much depth. I mean, we're still in a position where we've got to build up, this program through recruiting. And that's still, a chief concern. But we do have some young players that we're anxious to see in these first 3 or 4 practices in particular, get out there and really give them a lot of work.
Yeah, Coach, I told you I had a terrible memory. That was the Music City Bowl, I've been told. So,
Yeah.
my question was simple. No disrespect to the Cheez It Bowl, of course. My question was about the scheduling, though, because it's a later bowl. Will that give you a chance maybe to catch up on some of the recruiting that you needed still to do, and how will you approach it, giving the guys time off for exams and then downtime?
Well, it goes dead. I think we go dead on the 19th, so it really doesn't. The date really doesn't help us, any. Whether we played on the 30th or the 2nd, there's no real, advantages. Our situation is that we begin classes on the 17th, and so when you talk about, that means you've got to do anything, early in January, for visits and such. So it's a really tight calendar. I mean, the portal opens on Monday. Decisions have to be made here, quickly relative to who's going in. You're up against it with visits, the amount of visits that you have. So this is going to be, a very interesting couple of weeks here. Going to have to be very, very calculating. You're going to have to make some really tough decisions on your roster, and they're going to be difficult ones. And I think that's what these next couple of weeks are going to really look like.
Brian, when Will Townsend from the Advocate here, when it comes to that transfer portal being open, what are y'all going to be looking for in terms of positions when you're looking in the portal this year?
Well, I mean, I don't want to talk about any particular positions because I think you start then I kind of give away some, here are our weaknesses. But here's what I would tell you. They got to be the right fit first. They've got to recognize the value of an education from LSU. They've got to have the right traits. We're not just open for business. We're not just putting a sign up saying, hey, we're going to take whoever. They got to be the right fit. I prefer that they're from the state of Louisiana if we can find them. And then, we're going to address needs based upon, how that freshman class marries into it by, the particular needs by position class. So we're not going to overload a particular position group. In other words, if we've got 3 or 4 wide receivers that are freshmen coming in, you may not see, a heavy influence in the portal in that position. We're going to develop based upon our freshman class too. So we're doing this, at the same time, and also allowing our program to be younger too. We want to bring both of these along. We don't always want to be a turn it over program where we're bringing in transfers and turning the program over. So we need to grow, and you got to do that by recruiting freshmen and giving them the opportunity to step on the field and develop. And you can't do that if you keep bringing in freshmen at one position and then bringing a portal guy who's got 1 year and putting him in front of them.
Right. I think we have Koki on the line, and then we'll close out with Shock afterwards.
Hey, Coach. The interesting thing with the portal this year is that there's also the second window in the spring. How are you sort of trying to approach those 2 windows? And do you want to be more aggressive in this window so you don't have to worry as much in the next, or are you sort of leaning on that second window as well?
Well, I think everybody's got their own business plan. I think how we're using it is, internally, the second window is much more about how our guys develop, and we're giving them an opportunity to develop and do the right things, make sure that they're going to class, making good choices, making good decisions, doing it the right way in the weight room, developing in the manner that we expect them to. And if not, then, that portal opens up in May.
Coach, there's always this sentiment that winning a bowl game gives you momentum into the offseason and helps. Is that the case since the last two games didn't go your way? Does that put more importance on this bowl game, or how do you
Yeah,
view
it does when you lose your last two games. It does. I think, when you're trying to, put an ending on what has been in many ways an outstanding season relative to, inside out. I know everybody judges seasons on wins from an outside perspective, but inside out, it's been really good from my perspective as the head coach. You do want people to feel good about it from an outside in perspective, and a win would do that. 10 wins does that. It's kind of that, that mark that if you can get to double digits, you can kind of walk away and go, all right, everybody feels good about it. Season tickets are up. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's patting themselves on the back. I feel like we've done really good things internally, and we've hit that mark. But definitely a win here is really important to everybody.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach Kelly, for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the call. Appreciate it.